Greetings, everyone. Dominic here for another How I Solved It in Client. I wanted to do a few minutes here on Agile and how we did epics and we're doing epics and sprint management in the workspace, and how we, slightly personalize based on some requests from customers. Thought it was interesting also to show how we can manage Agile projects within Client. So main challenge or requests were here managing the stories and planning the sprints while we're maintaining the story relationship with the epics. So here's how we did that, and hopefully it spurs a few ideas to you too. So here, jumping right away into the workspace, which is very flexible. You can have several lenses through your structure of your project, your different tasks or components of the project. So if you're looking initially to a project to scope it all the way to eventually managing it, you'll see that there are different ways we can look into it. So for now, really high level, where I have some information for my project. And also, briefly mentioning here, even if we're doing agiles, there's usually a set structure to how we like to deliver at our business to customers. So, you might have some preset sprints for the intro and the outro of the project. So for your sprint one, you're doing your planning, sales to ops, documentation review, preps, and stuff like that. So usually that would be a set one that you would have every time you start a new project. Outros like project closeouts, lessons learned, and stuff like that. Usually you want to have those in. So using the templates so that when you spin a new project, you get that set structure is very efficient. You can get and spin a new project with a few clicks. So even if you're agile, project structure is very important, and you should leverage the template features here. Even for, as I'm showing here, project rhythm, Scrum, and internal alignments, these things that might be going across the whole project, you still might want to have those, and eventually you could leverage, resource planning and scheduling and stuff like that, even if it's an agile approach. So back to our main topic here, the epics and how we can relate the stories. So as you'd be building your project, you'd build your epics, maybe having a rough sketch or a rough estimate of those, the effort that are required for each of those epics. As you're detailing further, you'll create your stories. And as we're going to eventually use those stories into sprints, the request was, want to keep and then kind of maintain that relationship, a meta relationship between the stories and my epics. So it's the tiny detail, but just adding a field here, which is a lookup to an epic task, and leveraging the task type field that we have here, we can now have that relationship created so that if I take and drag a story within an epic or create a new one, you see that the epic gets related and stamped. So I'm going to bring that back right here just so that I keep the information where it should be. So here I'm related to my project management, and then, which brings me to whenever we get to a point where we need to start planning our sprint. Same would remain here, but react slightly differently, meaning that now if I have a sprint, in this case, my task is set to a sprint. If I drag and drop it here, you're just using simple record triggered flow in the background. I did get an update on my sprint number here. So I'm flagging that now, that story part of a sprint, but I'm maintaining my epic relationship right here. Okay, so tiny change, but all kind of in a meta perspective on the projects and the structure of the tasks here. I'm going to keep those relationships, so when I look back at my project, I'll still have that knowledge of where the stories are coming from, and then doing reportings, data analysis, I'll have that information. That being said, I'd like to wrap up maybe on how we can, as maybe a team or a dev, review those tasks and work on them. So different things or tools will be available, but always just different lenses to look at the data. Clicking the pencil here, I will have access to my descriptions, which is probably the story descriptions, maybe my acceptance criteria, how we're defining that with the so that we can agree with the customer what it should be looking like, that story. And we'll see that we have other fields that are available right from here for quick review. We can directly interact with the data from here, obviously. Maybe if we're more of a developer and we want to be heads down working on a task, I want to concentrate on that. Obviously, we can pop that task open and be really have a full page just working on that story specifically. So same information, obviously, but then I can be focusing on the proposed solution, detailing what other custom fields I want, maybe. So anything you might need. Leveraging the flexibility of the page layout in Salesforce makes it very very efficient. Here also maybe having different checklists, brain dump that I need to have for that story. So here I could be leveraging that for different reasons. And also interesting aspect is the issues. As we're doing the UATs, then we can relate our issues to our different stories and eventually, look at it as a holistic view on our project by epics and all those type of things, neat things that we can do in Salesforce. So issues here could be also related and highly visible within our story. Last thing, promise, is the Kanban view. So often we have visibility, or we want to look at our project when it's agile using Kanban boards. So obviously we can do that here. And then if I just wrap up being consistent with the epic and story relationship, here I have a view where I'm looking at only my stories within my project. So looking at only those 4 tasks that I had now, maybe I want to tell my team that I'm actually working on that task, and I just want to mention that that task is in progress, so we can move those cards around. But I could also be wanting to look into our stories, but by epics here. So we can also use those lookup fields to group our cards right on our Kanban board and kind of have that neat view of those all the stories, but by epics here. So hopefully that helps, spurs a few ideas. Let us know if you have any questions. It's always a pleasure to get in touch with you and discuss further and how we can help your business drive and be more efficient. Thanks. Have a great day.